this movie was 4 hours long about this guy named Jesus. And I was hooked, man, because I didn't know anything about Jesus. I didn't go to church. Some of you guys may have been to church for a while. I didn't. And I was very hooked by this guy because he had this confidence about him. And, like, the guy who was playing Jesus was almost a little cocky with it. It was like, he was very kind of, it almost came off as arrogance, but it was just like, this guy is like, I hate the word swag, but there you go. This guy had some confidence about him, and like he was going around, and he was ticking religious people like off. The religious people in this movie hated this guy, and he didn't care. He was just going around like, I'm going to heal people anyway, and I'm going to hang out with sinners and show them love. And like, I was like, I like this guy. I didn't go to church. I never read the Bible before, but this guy in this movie I really liked. So at the end of those 4 hours in that movie, I decided everything must change. Remember, I was an impulsive kid. So, Tupac posters were all over the walls. They are coming down because after seeing that movie, I didn't own a Bible, but I was going to go get the 500-pound coffee table Bible that my grandma gave us. And I opened that up to things Jesus said in King James Version because I didn't understand any of it. And I would write them down on papers, and I would take these papers and scotch tape them to my walls. My room went from Tupac to Bible scriptures pasted on walls in 2 hours. And then that wasn't enough. It needed more decoration. So I went into the Christmas stuff, and I got Christmas lights, and using thumbtacks, I made a cross on my wall. I was a weird kid, I'm not gonna lie. But that wasn't enough. Not only was it enough to change everything in my room, I had to do more than that because, I didn't go to church, so I didn't know other people knew about this Jesus guy. So I was about to tell the whole world about Jesus. I was about to just go out and, I was going to do the things I saw him do. I, started trying to walk around and talking like him in the movie. It didn't work. People were like, this kid's weird. Because whatever, I don't know how Jesus talked in that movie anymore, but it just wasn't normal people talk. Not in modern America. So, I went out and I just had this image in my head, I'm going to go on mission trips. And I'm going to just walk into churches and start preaching because I saw this movie. Never even read the Bible, but I saw this movie. And I'm just going to go. I saw something that just made me have to go. I wanted to go because what I witnessed in that movie was far greater than anything I've seen. Now, we're going to go back. I told you guys I would start y'all with John 4 and then we'd rewind later. Now, what's going on in this story is this woman, we're going to read about an impulsive woman. I was impulsive. This lady was even more impulsive. Why? Because we find her, she's going to this well to get water at the hottest part of the day. That might make sense because at the hottest part of the day, you're thirsty. Except for people didn't do this. People stayed in their house, in the shade, because Florida's hot, but the Middle East, the sun will just cook you. They stayed in their house. This woman's like, I want water, so I'm going. Impulsive, man. So this woman goes to the well, and on her way, I imagine it, have you ever, I don't know if you've ever, get in this mood. I get in a mood where I'm I just want to go do this, and I want to get it over with. I don't want anybody to talk to me. If I'm doing chores, just let me knock it out and get it over with. I don't want to drag it out. But it's right then that she gets interrupted by this guy who likes to, frankly, interrupt things. I mean, this Jesus guy was a master interrupter. I don't even know if that's a word, but he was a master interrupter. Because, this was the guy that would go into funerals, and while we're all, in our tuxes and, being reverent, shh. Hey, Lazarus! Hey! Come out of there! Jesus, it's a funeral. Shh. He interrupted everything. And he interrupts this woman who's just trying to go get some water. She had a basic need. She wanted water. She was going to get it. He interrupts her. She finds herself engaged in this conversation. And the funny thing is When he asked her for water, she was very surprised because his kind did not talk to her kind. Now I wonder if there's anybody in your school like that. I wonder if you pass somebody in your school like that where it's like, I see them eating by themselves at lunch. We don't really talk to their kind because they're kind of weird. If I'm honest, I've been that kid. If I'm honest, there was times in my life where I've been in school and I've been the kid that, like, I didn't have a lot of friends and nobody was sitting by me at lunch. But if I'm honest, when I did get friends after that, I didn't want to go talk to that kid. Why? Because I was scared if I went and talked to that kid, then I would become that kid again. And people would associate me with that kid. Maybe if some of us are honest, we see that kid all the time and we're like, I'm not going to go talk to them because I don't want to be associated with them. Perfect love casts out all fear. That's what my Bible tells me. So we don't have to be afraid of what other people associate us with. And we can go show love to that one kid. She finds herself engaged in this conversation with a man, and in this conversation, we really see how impulsive she is. Why? It gets revealed. Jesus calls her out a little bit. That she's been married 5 times. Now, you don't get married 5 times unless you're a little bit impulsive, because at least 3 times you're like, hey, I've known you for 2 days. Let's do this. Like, if you get married 5 times, there's some impulsive behavior there. Jesus confronts her about this, and they end up in a conversation. And he starts, like, eventually, he gets her attention. And then this conversation gets a little deeper and a little deeper. And at the end of this passage, she takes her bucket that she was going to get water with, and she drops it, and then leaves. And that's where I get frustrated, because the whole point of this was you were going to get water from that bucket. What did we just read all this for if you were going to drop the bucket? That's why you came, lady. You were thirsty. You couldn't get some water and then go? I mean, like, this is the point. This is what you were doing. Get some water, lady. Whatever she saw in that conversation was so moving that she forgot why she even came to the well. Tonight I feel like God wants Fuse to go somewhere. But I feel like he wants to take us on a very similar journey to what this woman went through. You see, she came to the well like needing something. And it wasn't anything selfish. This is a great time to drink water, by the way. I planned this. She came needing water. I didn't really plan that. It was just a good excuse. She came with a need that wasn't selfish. She just wanted some water. You know what? Every person in this room came here with a need. I don't know if this is your first time here. I don't know if you've been coming here for a long time. Every single one of us has needs in their life. If I ask you, what are some things you need? Some of us have something that came to our head right away. Some of us have about 5 things that came to our head right away. If we're being a little honest, I prepared this message in need of a lot of things. I'm in ministry school, and I'm in need of a lot of things. You know what? There's a lot of times that I doubt the call of God on my life. And I'm in need of a little assurance sometimes. There's moments that I'm in need of a little encouragement. There's moments that I find myself like in need of a little like community. I don't know what the things you came in need of. Maybe there's some people in here and you're going home to a family that's breaking down. And maybe you come in need of a little love. Maybe there's some of us that need a little peace because we're living in chaos at times. Maybe there's some of us that we feel loneliness and we need some love from others. We need some community. I don't know what your need is. But I want to tell you this. God is not intimidated by your need. God is not shying away because you are in need. This woman came to Jesus with needs. But what was it that moved her so greatly that she dropped the very thing that could, fulfill her need? What was it? This is the second place I believe we want to come to tonight. We become captivated by seeing Jesus. See, in verse 19, this woman comes to a point where she starts paying a little attention. There's a moment that she starts paying a little more attention, and she says, hey, I can see that you're a prophet. She notices that there's something a little bit different about this guy because he's able to tell her things he shouldn't know. Hey, I can see that you're a prophet. We come with our need, but eventually we forget about our need, and it's so captivating that we drop the very bucket that we were holding to fulfill our needs. See, some of us, we hold on to our buckets, man. There's sometimes I hold on to my bucket and my needs so much that I have to ask myself this question. I'm going to ask you guys this question. Are we holding on to our needs? Are we holding on to our buckets because we haven't really seen? Have you seen his love? Have you seen his love look past your darkest flaws? Have you seen his peace overcome your most chaotic storms? Have you seen him look past any sin that you've had? Have you seen it? Because I love this place because it's here. And I don't know about you guys, but I come a little jacked up, man. There's a lot of issues in my life, and I've seen him look past it. I've seen his presence wrap around me, even though I didn't deserve to be there. Because when you see him, the things you need start to become a little blurry. When you see him, why you came isn't even that important anymore. Which brings us to the third place, and this is the place I really believe God wants us to go tonight. After we see him, we drop our buckets and we go. The woman came with needs. She became captivated by seeing him, and then she went. Where did she go? Without water, without her bucket. She went back to town. She went to grab people out of their houses. She went to their places of business. She went to where they were buying food. She went and met people and interrupted them because she wanted to tell them about what she saw. Come see a man who told me everything that I've ever done. Come see a man who showed us love. Come see a man who died for all of our sins. Come see a man who gave us a place where we can go to church on Wednesday night and hear that he loves us and hear that he cares and hear a word of encouragement. Come see a man who loves us despite anything we've done. Come see that man. Jesus saw this woman. And this wasn't a woman that he should have been talking to. In fact, if the right people would have saw him even talking to this woman, they would have been very harsh to him. In fact, his own disciples were questioning him because this wasn't a woman that he should have been talking to. But Jesus talks to this woman, and he knows that she's a sinner. He knows that she's been married 5 times and she's living with somebody that's not her husband. He says it. He knows. He doesn't care because he saw something else in her. He saw that this woman was a woman who could change a whole town. He saw that she might be messed up, but this woman has what it takes to change her whole city. He saw that this woman, and you know what? In here, some of us already have doubts about who we are. Some of us have doubts about what we can do. But I'm telling you, Jesus is in this place and he sees our sin. He sees it. But he sees the potential in you guys. He sees that in this room there's world changers. He built this place. He made Fuse a gathering place so that some of you can come in here because he knows that despite any of your flaws that you are a world changer. And he's just getting started with you. She dropped her bucket and ran to the city because the reason she was going was more important than why she ever came. Have you seen him? What's the buckets we carry? What are the buckets that we carry? She was carrying a bucket to fulfill her need. Man, sometimes I carry relationships that I shouldn't have because it fulfills the need of loneliness. Sometimes I carry things that make me feel good because they're just fulfilling a need. I don't know the buckets in your life, but I can tell you, you don't need them. She was able to drop that bucket because she knew that she would drink again. Jesus wasn't going to let her go thirsty. In fact, he even told her that he has water that she'll never thirst again. She knew that he wouldn't let her go thirsty, so she didn't need her bucket. We see, and then we go. That time in my room, I saw something in this movie, and I was ready to go. This woman saw, and she went, and she said, "Come see." The very last time the disciples saw Jesus, he rose from the dead and was getting ready to go. And he said, therefore, in Matthew 28, verse 19, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Teach them to obey everything I've commanded you, and surely I'm with you to the very end of the age." They saw, and therefore go. They had to go so that others could see what they saw. The woman went to town for this very reason. I want to ask you, what's stopping us from going? What are the things that are stopping us from going? Is it like the needs in our life? Have you ever felt like, I'll go when blank? I think sometimes we complicate it. I really do. Because I remember feeling like, hey, I will go change the world when I know more about the Bible. There's been times in my life where I wouldn't serve because I was like, yeah, I'll go when I get some of the sin out of my life. That's not it at all. This woman just had a short conversation with Jesus. She didn't have any classes. She didn't have core and the things that we have coming up. She didn't have these training facilities to teach her how to go change the world. No, she just had a short conversation. And she didn't get the sin out of her life because while she was going, there was a man living at her house who she wasn't married to. She didn't get the sin out of her life. She didn't get training. She just went. And sometimes we wait around. If you've seen love from Jesus, go show love. If you've seen peace from him, then go show peace. If you've seen that compassion, then go show it. If you've came in this building and you've been coming here for a while and you've seen the love of your of leaders in this room and you've seen and you've felt the presence of God here, if you've seen it here, then jump on a serving team so that others can see it, so that more people can see it. Because the potential in this room is far greater than any of us could ever think or imagine. The potential in this room has, I don't know the St. John's area. I'm not from the St. John's area. You guys are, and I'm not the reason this area is going to get changed. It's in this room, though, and it's not me. It's in you guys. I fully believe that Fuse and St. John's can start something, just like this woman started, where a whole town came to Jesus. I'm not part of the town. The whole town came, and they saw for themselves. And that potential's in this room. That's why I love Fuse. Guys, I've been serving in Fuse at the arena, and I've been serving in Fuse for just a month. I want to tell you that there's been times in my life where I've went crazy. There's been times in my life where I would drink excessively. There's been times in my life where I would depend on parties, and there's been times that I would depend on certain relationships that I knew weren't good for me. None of them ever gave me the feelings that I leave with every Wednesday night. I annoy the people on Facebook just telling them about how great of a time I had serving at Fuse because I love Fuse so much. I love the opportunities. And if you're here for the first time, if you've been coming for a while, and you haven't seen that love of Jesus, just stay. You'll see it. You have a youth pastor who's going to make sure you see it. You have adult leaders in this room that's going to make sure you see it. That's an opportunity that Fuse gives you, but it also gives you an opportunity to drop your buckets and go. Because the things you were in need of don't compare to going. Some of us, we have things we need of, but if we would just go, we'd find so much greater peace and greater happiness, because when we go, it's amazing. I will never find the joy that I get on a Wednesday night, at a club. I had fun at a club, I'm not going to lie. But I'll never find the joy and the peace, and I won't wake up feeling like trash, and I'll wake up just being excited about the next Wednesday, because when you live with purpose, there's nothing that compares. You have a youth pastor that came all the way across the world because he's seen the love of Jesus, and he went. There's mission trips coming up, you guys. I still think about the mission trip that I went on to El Salvador all the time. You know, all the stuff we get, all the things I've got, were never greater than the time I was able to give this lady a toilet seat, and she just wept. It was a toilet seat. She gained so much love from that toilet seat because she didn't have one. She had a little stump on her toilet, and she started crying just out of happiness from this toilet seat, y'all. It messed me up for good. You can give me some of you have seen my iPhone, it's just completely shattered. You can give me a brand new one, I won't be as happy as when we gave this woman the toilet seat. That PS4 that we have coming up, that we're giving away, the Xbox at the United Nights, it's amazing. It won't compare to when we gave this woman a toilet seat. When you go, there is nothing that compares. So what's stopping you from going? What is stopping you from charging in there and signing up for those mission trips? Is it money? Drop your bucket. Because I didn't have a dime when I went. God provided everything. I didn't need my bucket. I needed my God. What's stopping you from jumping on all these serving teams? Is it a relationship? Is it I don't want to give my time? Drop your bucket. Because when you get on these serving teams, you'll form greater relationships than you ever thought you could have. My greatest relationships came from people that I served with. And they're some of my best friends to this day. What keeps us from going? Is it your need? Drop your bucket. He's going to provide for your needs. You just need to go. I could stand all up here all night, and I'm not gonna. Just telling you the great experiences I've had by just going. I've seen the love that I didn't deserve, and I went because I want other people to see it. And I served because I want you guys to see it. And Pastor Andy came across the world because he wants you guys to see it. I don't know what's stopping you from going, but I'm going to pray, and I'm going to let Pastor Andy come up and just bring this thing to a close. I love you guys, and I'm just so excited about what's going to happen and the places that you're going to go and the potential that is inside of you. So excited. I couldn't even sleep last night just because I know the potential in this room is incredible. I'm going to pray for you. God, I thank you for this night. God, I thank you that you first